going, guys, and how's everyone doing? So it's been a little bit since I posted a video. I've just been extremely busy with work and everything, but we're gonna go ahead and slap on the drag pack onto the car, and I'm gonna try out a couple of street hits today. So let's go ahead and do a couple of little updates real quick of what's been going on and kind of everything that's going on. So this obviously is my 2007 GT500. A while back I went ahead and put on new axles, and the bolts that I put on there were, I believe they're from Strange, if I'm not mistaken. Not really coated in anything, so you can see they're kind of getting rusty. So just messing around and putting some, just cleaning it up, putting some rust on it while I have it apart, but not really important. So a couple of things that I've learned since. I went ahead and finally contacted a tuner, which is awesome. My main purpose, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this yet, but I'm looking into doing cams. I'm not sure if I'm going the built motor route after all, just because like the more I look at this car, the more I realize I don't think it's a full race car, as I stated a while back. So it is what it is. I still want to have cams at some point, so that's what I'm looking into. No promises, we'll see what happens. But first step of that process, and if you're going to do mods, I highly encourage you to do the same thing. Find a tuner and reach out to them first. Originally I was going to do heavy duty timing chains, I was going to do a whole bunch of other stuff, billet oil pump gears, a bunch of stuff, and in reality I'm not really making any more power than I am currently. I'm not going to be making much more with the cams. He was saying 2.8 pulley, which is one up we were running in Rockingham, and the cams are about maxed out. We can do with 93, and I'm not trying to go to E85 right now, so that's fine. So that's kind of where we're sitting out with the car and why nothing's been happening. Just been looking into a lot of stuff, and something going on there. But he also came back and pointed out some very awesome, not awesome, but a couple of things to try out. So first, said to stop using the two-step on launching. Aside from it, he thinks, looking at the videos I sent him, that it's messing up my launch a little bit because it's kind of a, you either get traction or you don't, and if you don't, there's no modulating after that. You're already at wide open throttle, so it's going to spin too hard. So he suggested, look, time to adjust your driving style and try basically launching it like a normal manual car. So do the quick exchange and everything. So I'm going to try that out a little bit later today. On the 1-2 lockout issue I've been having, one of you guys in the comments pointed this out. I don't know if you're watching, appreciate it. But he also pointed out that the pistol grip holding onto the shifter, so if I'm holding onto the shifter, you know, like this, I need to move my hand on top. So on the 2-3 shift, or the 3-4 shift, I always have it on top. The 2-3, same thing. On the 1-2 though, I almost always pistol grip it because in my head I need to like shove it over as far as possible and pull it back. He's saying that's not the best thing to do. Try and draw it straight back. So it's a tiny bit difficult with the Barton because it has a very strong spring to throw it to center. But I've been practicing a little bit, just kind of messing around how it feels, and I think I can get it with just pulling a straight back motion, and he said that should clear up a lot of my lockout issues. So that's not the case. Either way, basically all that basically is telling me is that I'm gonna hold off on doing a clutch for right now anyway, and we'll see how it does with that. So I want to test that out. Lastly, other than that, I mean, that's really about it that's going on. So like I was saying, I'm gonna go ahead and get the drag pack thrown on, clean up a couple bolts and whatnot, and give it a shot. I'm back on the 3-inch pulley, so it's about 2 or 3 psi less. Nothing crazy. That's the pulley that was on it when it dynoed 696. No fuel additive or anything. So see how it goes. Well, drag pack's finally on. It has been a while, literally since Rockingham, since it's been on. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing ready to go. I did forget there was actually a legit reason why we don't want to run the two-step anymore, and kind of changed the parts list for if we do cams or not. But originally I was going to run heavy duty timing chain secondaries, and what the heck was the other thing? There was something else I can't remember. Billet oil pump gears. And talking to the tuner, he basically said just do a forward OEM timing kit, and the reason is, and also to stop using the two-step. The reason is because, so unlike an LS motor, for instance, the modular motors have about, you know, like 10 feet worth of timing chain. So if you're ever curious as to what's going on, you got pretty much 2 timing chains on either top of the cover here, and then a timing chain that runs down to the crank and back up on both sides. And that's just a lot of stress, plus the supercharger belt on top of the crank. And he was saying something to watch out for is literally cracking the crank off. So with that note, I think I'm done using the two-step, and we're gonna go to manual launches, see how it goes. All right, so we just got back from the first run. I'm gonna go ahead and explain it real quick before we go ahead and watch that clip. Only did one dig run, then did one run that I didn't catch on camera. So I had my father-in-law with me, and I wanted to go ahead and just kind of, I didn't want to get out of it and waste the run. Basically, what happened was, first part I think you guys will find funny, tried to do a second gear burnout, didn't rev it up high enough, immediately bogged and stalled the car out, which, oops. But the next run, so went ahead, did a kind of a crappy clutch, kind of a crappy launch with the manual, trying to do that transition. I really wasn't paying that close attention to it, just dumb, but got off, started spinning pretty much. You couldn't tell it in the video, but I watched the RPM climb way too fast for what it should have been doing. So spun through first, and then when I went to grab second gear, it locked me out, it felt like a wall. Shoved it in third gear because I was like, well, that run is wasted and I wanted to get the RPM down because it was doing that stupid rev hang thing. Like I said, it still hasn't been retuned yet. Then as I was going to third, I was like, well, he's with me, I'm gonna go finish off this pull. So I went back in a second, finish off the pull, and it felt pretty good.
Is that what it
These
feels
are a
like?
little bit grippy. They're a little more grippy than I was expecting. We'll do a first gear burnout. Choice line lock on. That's off. That's a burnout. So that's what that run was, but that lockout the second was kind of irritating, and then I don't think I'm going to be able to get traction in first, which is not a surprise. It's on a regular asphalt road. So what I am going to do now, let me pull out this part real quick and I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, so this is what we're going to go ahead and do to try and fix this little lockout issue. So I did try adjusting my hand from top to side, but once again, I didn't pay super close attention to it, so I kind of screwed myself a little bit. We're going to go out tomorrow and try this again, but in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and hook this up. So this is a torque limiter, and essentially it looks just like this picture right here. And you can see the orange bar is the black bar that I have, and it goes to the transmission. So the transmission feels pretty smooth when I'm shifting in neutral, obviously, with the car on, clutch depressed. And what happens is when you're under wide open throttle, it torques the whole engine off to the sides. When you try and move it with the body mount transmission, it won't line up properly. So what these do is this goes ahead and hooks into the bottom, and these guys, I believe, go right here and hook up to each of the transmission body or mount bolts right there, as you can see right there, and it keeps it from moving around basically. So there's a dude on YouTube, PM Performance, or PM Performance, and he hasn't posted anything recently, but he used to have a GT500, and he installed this and said it completely cured his 1-2 lockout. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and try and do. So we're gonna go ahead and install this thing real quick, and kind of do a long intro, a lot of talking. And I'm not gonna go through the whole steps. I'm gonna get it on real quick, knock some of the highlights. You'll see it, and then we'll go ahead and do another test pull, see how it feels. So underneath my car, what we're replacing is this guy right here. So this bar that runs across all the way over. So right now it's just a little bar here, and there's actually another bolt right here. So 1, 2, and 3 bolts on either side. And from my understanding, we're replacing this, and there's gonna be an arm that goes to that transmission mount straight down to here. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that, and basically what this is doing is it's mimicking solid motor mounts is what it comes down to. Solid motor mounts wouldn't let the motor rock at all against the body, and that's basically what we're doing right here with that. So we go ahead and do that. I have noticed there's like a little bit of, it almost feels like grease, it's so thick. But I might have a very small rear main leak kicking up, so if I'm doing the clutch, definitely gonna do the rear main. And just back here, you might be able to tell there's a little bit of a trans leak coming out of the rear. Not bad where it's dripping on the ground, but it's definitely a little damp back there, so looks like got some maintenance to do back here as well at some point. I'm not trying to do that today, but that'll have to happen sooner than later, I think. So just always something with this car. But yeah, so you can see my motor mounts right there. They got some nice rubber in them. I think, pretty sure it's motor mounts. And that allows that flex that's causing my shifting issues. Supposedly anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace this guy, and we'll go ahead and see what it does. All right, so got the bar out, and up here, this is actually the lower control arm mount bolt, just so you're curious. So it's not gonna use this outer hole, and I'll show you once I get it together, but it's using this hole and that hole. So, now we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. I'll show you when it's put together. Because I think you guys will get a chuckle out of this. Big old adjustable wrench is coming in handy in more ways than I'd imagine right now. But with the headers in the way, I can't get a socket on that sucker. Alrighty, so again, now we need to install the spacer right here, or this guy. So this is the orientation. You got your bolt, the actual eyelet limiter thing, the little spacer that's included, and the washer. And that's going to go right there. And the other end's going to go right here. So go ahead and get that in. Alright, so here it is under here, as you can see. Got everything torqued down. 33 foot-pounds for the two nuts that are facing us, the transmission side and the lower brace side. And then the lower control arm gets torqued down a bunch more. I didn't check the spec on it, but cranked down it pretty hard. I think we're good to go. So hopefully this will take care of our issue with the 1-2 lockout. We'll find out tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But there you have it. So that's the Shea Performance k-memeber brace with the torque limiter arms. Well, unfortunately, it is raining out right now, so hopefully it'll dry up a little later. But in the meantime, the tuner did mention that I should definitely run a compression test in this car before we go ahead and do any power adding stuff in terms of either cams or just tuning it with a bigger pulley. So when I picked up a compression tester, he also wants to get a leak down test done. Haven't picked one of those up yet, so I figure while it's raining out, I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out real quick and we'll see what this thing is. Basically what you want is less than 10% variance, or around 10% variance or less for all 8 cylinders. So I'm not going to show that. Compression tests are pretty much basic, but I will show you the results and we'll go over them real quick. And hopefully everything checks out. If not, I'm going to be a little butthurt and we're going to have to rethink basically the whole build in terms of stock bottom end stuff is no good. So we'll find out. But I'll do the compression test first. The leak down basically tests if all the seals and valves are sealing properly. So it's also going to be on a cold motor, so the numbers might be a little bit lower than normal, but I'm not going to worry about it. As long as we got nothing drastically off, I think we'll be fine. Just if anyone's curious, because I had to look it up a little bit, this relay right here is for the fuel pump. Pop that out, just cranked it over, car didn't turn on, so we're good. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop off valve covers, spark plugs, all that stuff. You've seen me do it before, so I'm going to do it again and get ready to do this test. Quick rundown, just starting it in by hand until I can get it as tight as I can. The first two, I'm deciding to do 8 revolutions total. I was figuring out the first one, so we at 173, 175 is the orientation we're going in this way. So, go ahead and save. I'm just gonna run you guys through one real quick. And just so you can see how it goes, but I'm sure you've heard this before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and see what you got. We don't want is one to be like drastically lower, but yep, just at 170, 171, somewhere right in there. So we're still good. Finish up the test and went inside to do some calculations just to see. But so this is what we got: 173, 75, 170, 170, 165, 170, 165, 170. So the highest we had is 175. If you take that, do some magic math, the lowest you're allowed to have is 15% variance, and the 15% would be 149. So we're well above that. And that's not for performance applications. I'm talking like anything lower than that will misfire type applications. Where we're at 165 to 175, that's a 6% variance across all 8 cylinders. So we are well within spec, good to go there, which is awesome. So I'm still probably going to do a leak down test just to make sure that none of the valves got bent or anything, just due to how high this thing had revved in the past, getting up to that 7K mark. Again, not under load, but still. So that's pretty much going to do it for the compression test bit, and hopefully it seems to be drying up outside. I'll go ahead and knock out this run to see if the little things work. So I'm going to go and put everything back together, and hopefully the next shot will be in the car. Okay, so let me run you through that real quick. Damn, so that was pretty, I understand now why you don't want to do always two-step. I think that was my best street launch I've ever done, the second one. And I was able to kind of like keep it spinning with mostly having power on. right at that top of the about 64, 500 RPM. Second was actually there for once in its freaking life, so hopefully that actually did the trick with that little bar thing, and proceeded into third and kept going. So felt pretty damn good. Alrighty guys, we're back at the house. The car's behind me, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do any more pulls than that. The road's not the clearest at the moment, so I'm not going to say that it fixed the issue for sure, but second gear was there where I wanted it, and it was pretty sweet to have it there. Something else though, and I'm starting to finally get a hang on how to kind of throttle through slight spinning without going full throttle to just, you know, out of control rev craziness. But that was actually, I think, the first time I legitimately shifted first to second at 6,500 RPM, and holy cow, what a difference. So I'm going to throw in a Rockingham clip. This is the 10-8 pass. I shifted that at 5,500 RPM in first. I slowed it down, I really looked for it. But when I shift to second, you can hear how much higher in the RPM band, i.e. power band, that second gear is, and then first, as it would make sense, is bogged down pretty hard in the Rockingham pass. So I'm actually really excited to try and get back to the drag strip as soon as possible. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, which is when the drag strip is open again. So it keeps raining week after week after week here, which is kind of getting annoying, but hopefully we'll figure out something. I do want to go though and test this stuff out. So I'm pretty happy with it. Launching on the street is definitely a different experience altogether. It's basically no prep and the road surface isn't the greatest, but it felt pretty dang good. Definitely way better than the other day when I had my father-in-law in the car, which I feel bad about. You can't hear it in the video, but as soon as I stalled out in the freaking, it's ridiculous. Just trying to show off and that's what happens. But it is a great example of the second gear lockout. So I thought it was a hilarious clip. But like I was saying, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I did wind up picking up I did place the order for cams, so I think that's the route we're gonna go with the car. I'm not entirely sure if I'm dedicated to doing a built bottom end yet. The more I'm thinking about this car, I just don't know if I wanna go down the route. So we'll kind of see where it goes. I figure I might as well start with cams, just to kind of get the car sounding the way I want it, at idle and everything, has that badass dumpy sound going on, and we'll kind of go from there. But mainly, cams just kind of go along with the tune. I really wanna get the tune ironed out so I can send it and not really have to worry about it as much. But yeah, guys, so thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.